So welcome to the second part of our Authentic Leadership Unfolding. Thank you so much for everybody for attending last night. Today, I would just want to, obviously it's a birthday celebration as well, but I just want to try and showcase a little bit of what this process is about, and that my journey within this process and how I've tried to formalize it a little bit. So what comes out of my mouth will come out of my mouth automatically, but hopefully it'll just bring some clarity to each of us. So I think the way when I was given a vision in 1996, and that vision was of a tree, and it was and I asked kind of like, what's it called, this tree? Because I was really perplexed by the way that the structure of education, housing, the government, volunteering community, women's organisations, that's what I was looking for, because I've got fibroids. Well, I didn't have fibroids actually. I thought, what is this fibroid? I want to do some research on it. I knew that there was voluntary organisations. I knew there were different community groups. I knew that I worked in social work at the time. So I knew that there was care agencies that were in statutory bodies. I just couldn't get my head around, how do all these people support people? Where do people find where these support groups are? That's where the question was when I was about 17, 18. Because I'd done voluntary work from being young, and obviously cared for my sister from being 3. So I'd done a lot of care right from early age. So I was just mindful, where do people find help? Where do they reach out for help? How do people know? And so that started that question. That was as simple as that. And I went to sleep one night and woke up with this vision of a tree. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing. How clear is that? And so I saw the root of the tree, I saw the bark of the tree, and I saw the branches of the tree. I could separate people, because I didn't like the fact that we were separated, because we are part of the whole. So for me, the whole is the tree. It's just that there's different elements have different functions, and that's how I see the world. That we've all got different functions, but at the same time we belong to the whole. I wasn't seeing that. I was seeing a lot of decompartmentalization going on, different separations of different groups, different people. I didn't like that. I thought, no, I don't like to be defined. So that's where this all came from. So authentic leadership for me was about having that dream and just thinking, well, if the tree was a ceiling, and we know that quote, that within each ceiling is a gift of greatness. We don't necessarily know that quote. It's something similar to take a, I don't know, does people know that quote about I think it's the oak tree. Catherine, do you know that quote? Maybe
which one?
Sorry.
Which quote are you talking about?
There's a quote about within each
acorn
is it's a seed of potential, isn't it? Or
yeah.
So we've all been familiar with it, which is, that's I just didn't know whether or not you knew that, but
something along the great things lie within something. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I bet somebody will find that by the. Yeah, exactly. That's the one. So within each seed, so for me, when I was working as a manager, I mentioned this yesterday, I was doing that pursuit of happiness up the pyramid.
From tiny acorns, mighty oak trees grow, isn't it? Something
That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. I think it is.
And that's the thing, from tiny acorns, mighty trees grow.
From tiny acorns, mighty oak trees grow, I think is the quote.
It is, thanks.
But don't quote me.
Whatever Paul said. And that's the thing for me, hearing that, even though I can't remember it, but hearing that made me think about this concept, because it was 1999 when 98, so it's 2 years after having the vision of the tree. I saw the tree and I just saw it lit up, and I didn't know about the tree of life at the time. So I have not done much reading, despite being a lecturer at the university and the college. I didn't do much reading because I knew that I didn't need to. I needed to come from a different place. I read what I needed to get through my degree. I did what I needed to do. I didn't spend a lot of time doing reading. And so what happened was, so 96 was the tree, And then I'd kind of like asked, what's it going to be called? And I just got the sense, including you. Including you is the bark of the tree. And that for me is like the bridge. I always see the bark on its side. And when you see the advert, and that's what, for me, that's the pathway, is that bark of the tree, that we're coming from the branches and we're going to the roots. But as above, so below. So it's all those are all entwined in it. So that's where this unfolding comes from. In 1998, I was working at a voluntary organisation, and a journalist came to interview me. And I was telling her about the process of the organisation. She had a hidden agenda, but it didn't matter. She asked me what was my passion in life, or what did I see as being my vision or my purpose, actually, my purpose in life. I just said to her, do you know what? I said, I'm just not sure. And the following morning, I woke up and the words that came to me was nurturing seedlings to reach their full potential. So I was like, right, okay. So I just rang her up and I just said to her, don't ask. All I know is nurturing seedlings to reach their full potential. And that had stayed with me all, obviously, from produce all this. Because in my head, I knew that I had to see it in the eyes of a child. My children have helped bring this process about in terms of imagery. So I knew that I needed to see it in the eyes of a child. And that's the eyes that I would ask you to look at this, really, because we've got so complex in our heads around how things should work and understand it. You can't understand it, explain. If you look at it with the eyes of a child, the child gets this process. It's just that we don't get it because we've not been. If I ask you to look with the eyes of a child, then that might help you. So each of us must seek to discover the hidden aspects of each other through art of truth. So what that means is, I don't know, I just wrote it this afternoon in the cafe, but each of us must seek to discover the hidden aspects of each other. That many of us have gone down this road of personal development. Personal development is fantastic, but it's just you. And most of us have done things on our own. But it's only when we're in relation with other people that we actually learn about ourselves. We don't learn about ourselves on our own. It's only when we have a conversation with somebody that it's like, oh my gosh, that's when we learn. That's when we learn. So we have to discover those aspects within each other through the heart. And what we've been doing is speaking our truth through our heart, discovering the hidden aspects of each other in the storytelling process. That's all that we've been doing. And in doing that, we've found the lighter parts of ourselves and we've found the darker parts of ourselves. And the intention is like hide and seek. You hide, somebody's hiding, somebody's seeking. Those two get matched together. That's what this process is. So nurturing seedlings to reach the full potential is about all of us becoming our truth. And in that, it's kind of like, there's a part of it that just says that was the thing. When I saw the tree, and some of you have mentioned you've seen Energy Orchard, and you've said, what's this Energy Orchard? The tree on its own is perfectly okay, but it's much nicer when there's lots of trees. And what this process is doing is bringing lots of stories, lots of trees, lots of seedlings. It's like, how are we nurturing those seedlings? How are we creating that environment for seedlings to be able to feel nurtured and growing? And each of us have got that opportunity to hold that space for people. And I just think it's so important, because what people are saying has just been amazing today. It's just been amazing. And again, I'll try not to blooming cry, because it's just, I can feel it, but I'm trying to keep it at a level. But when people are saying things that just thank you for holding a space, that's just, honestly, it just feels such a precious gift to have, but yet it's so simple. And all of us are doing that for each other, so it's a community, it's an orchard. And that proverb says, it is if you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. That is so powerful, because that's what we're doing. We're growing people, we're holding space for people to be able to grow into their truth. And that is going to be generational. It's not only healing generations, but it's going to be, we're propelling it forward for generations to come. And that's a gift, isn't it? I don't know why that little response there. So this part, as you've all seen, it's in the book, isn't it? Ambassador of Change, that are we all born to lead? I heard someone say, well, why else are we here at the end of the day? Each of us have a purpose to fill in this life, regardless what it is. Search, we will find. Find what it is and then reach out to others, remembering each of our neighbours are truly sisters and brothers. So remember, when your light is low, the light you have is meant to glow. So shine your light for all to see, and rich your life can truly be. And that's so important for all of us to recognise that is what we're doing. All we're doing and all we need to do is shine our light. There's nothing else that we need to do in our lives, actually, other than shining our light. And I know for myself, that's what I was not doing. I was looking at everybody else, joining lots of different, learn more, lots of different companies, learn more. Learn more for what? There wasn't anything more to learn other than shine my light. That's it. And that's all of us. It's like, shining your light, different, what we're trying to do really is shining our light. There's one bit that I haven't actually included in the presentation, but it's about attracting. It's an attraction glow. When you shine your light, you have a glow about you. People want to warm to you. They want to know more. They want to, who is this person? And that's something that can't be taught. It's something that just comes from within. But if you've got something to share, and that sharing is your story, then what more do you need? There isn't anything more that you need other than a vehicle to be able to do that. And in doing that, people will be attracted. And that, I can honestly say, is all that I'm saying. It's all that I've done. It's just taken me 18 years. Kind of like just get on and do it, really. But having said that, the internet needed to come in play as well. So now that we've got the internet, it's like this is making it happen much quicker. But obviously, it's happening much quicker. I wonder why that's doing that. It's happening much quicker, which is why it needs more people. What I need to do is just enlarge this because I don't know how it's like. Can you still all see that? I don't know why the screen has gone really funny. That's
now.
Right?
I can see that now.
I don't know why it's changed its format, which is a bit strange. Okay, so so what I've done, this is the new released or on the way of being released slides for the Learn, Do and Teach. So we've not done the Learn, Do and Teach before because we've always been doing the learning in a way. And so this is the Learn, Do and Teach. So it's kind of, these are some of the frequently asked questions. How much does the course cost? How do I access the blueprint? And so with the help really from Alice and really over the past couple of weeks, we've managed to put together access to all this, which is just kind of just incredible. I think what we've achieved in a short space of time with a small handful of people, never underestimate really what can be achieved. And so what we've got here is just a bit of a format. I don't know if it's a format that hopefully people will be able to see it better of kind of like, right, I enroll for the class, I create my password, I read the materials and I handwrite, I type them up and I email them, I book into a session, I read out and share, and I've got the dates are on Facebook and WhatsApp. Simple enough. Anything missing from that, anybody? Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
What about 2-minute reflection videos?
Well done. That's a bit that I just missed off on the slide. I just saw, and I actually had it all worked out. I had a little image to put up there, and it says a reflection. Thank you, Geraldine. A reflection 2-minute video, post on Facebook, YouTube, or WhatsApp, and then add to Tell Your Story Pioneers. So that will go on there. So thank you for that. We'll probably squeeze that in at the bottom. The 2-minute reflection, which is brilliant because obviously it helps us all to hear each other as well and kind of like release whatever's left after the end of the session that can sometimes happen. We've also included, I should say, a three-part payment. And it's an interesting one really because it's not open to everybody in a way. It's kind of like, it's not the option that we would want people to utilize. It's becoming kind of like people are hesitant. They're starting the process, but they're not necessarily, because everybody starts the process potentially with 5-part series. So they can just be starting the process. There isn't any payment. That is a gift to, you know, just get them going to see if they like it. And people who, you know, it's popular. People are liking it. People are jumping in and people are starting the story. People are asking questions. But then when it comes to paying, it can be a challenge because I don't know if it's down to people always think that they haven't got enough. So we're still erring on this side of, oh, I don't know, 120, I'm not sure. And it's about that value. And it's not a case of, you know, it's like I've said, we don't want money to be the reason to stop anybody from telling their story. If we could offer it for free, then we would. But at the same time, I also think that there needs to be an exchange because what people get in this process, they don't get anywhere else. And it's not because of that we should charge. It's just kind of that value because the funds go back into their pockets potentially by leading. And it really is about valuing themselves. Well, if people don't value themselves, then they're not going to necessarily think, oh yeah, I'm going to just throw £120 into my personal development. It's a real interesting thought processes that go on with people. Anybody else found that? Any? No? Is Mary leaning forward to say something? No, sorry, I just saw you move forward.
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think from the beginning, I'm not crazy about that 3-part payment. I hear what you're saying, but I think it's important for people to invest in themselves, and this is a good way of teaching people that you have to invest in you. I'm sure that I was not the only one that this was not something that I had an extra $120, but it was invested in me. And and also I'm thinking of the leaders that are leading that are also maybe counting with that money. And if that person decides not to continue, then, you know.
Yes, that's the other part of it. Absolutely.
I totally hear what you're saying about making it possible for everyone, but I would not do it if it was up to me.
Well, anybody, other thoughts? Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
I can understand where Mary's coming from. So I could imagine perhaps on the slide, not putting the 3-part payment option bit, but leaving the do not let money be the reason to stop you from telling your story. Talk to me or something.
Yeah.
So if somebody really, because I think if somebody, the reality is I think if somebody wants to enough,
absolutely,
they'll get in touch with you and say, I really want to do this, but I just don't have £120 in one go.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation. Whereas if you have the 3-part payment option there, as Mary says, you may well get people who could well afford or afford the 120, who will just say, oh, well, I'll hedge my bets and do that and you know, do it as I go.
Yeah.
Even if it costs them.
Yeah, no, I would hear that. Carolee, was you going to say something? I saw you on mic.
It was just that our strategy was that in the shopping cart, there was no 3-part payment. It was just that 120, and that was it, as it is right now. And then somewhere along the line, with people receiving the email series, it was possibly an email that if money was an issue, we offer a part payment option that people might want to reply to or something. Like nowhere in the website do you see a 3-part payment option. That page is actually hidden. So it is a conversation, isn't it? So yeah, I think I agree with the ladies that maybe take that 2
I do.
2 lines, But then again, it stops them. Like, they don't want to have that conversation.
But I suppose, you see, the thing is, this is what I would want on. Some people do. I have the conversation with a lot of people, but that's the conversation. You know, it's kind of, we've had somebody recently who's actually taken us up on the exchange option, which is brilliant, because it means that we evolve as a community. Because ideally, and this is the hard thing, isn't it? Because I would love us to have our funds elsewhere, that, you know, that it wouldn't matter, that people would come into this space to tell their story, and we would have an alternative way that they would fund it. Because I don't think money should be an issue when it comes to telling your story, you know. But at the same time, it's also a means to be able to fund the project in a very different way. It's an opportunity to contribute. It's the only way that we often exchange, because of the way that the world is at this moment in time, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But no, I hear you there. I like the idea of being able to put that out there in a different way, and being able to empower people.
Another possibility to add to that, I agree with what Jolie said there, but another possibility to add to that, I'm thinking in terms of in pay it forward terms, is that you could offer the opportunity for anybody who's signing up to pay an additional amount to enable somebody who can't afford to have the opportunity to tell their story. So you create a pot that people can put a little bit extra into. So having signed up, and you know, they could either do it then, or they could come back to it later once they're partway through the process and feeling the benefits for themselves. And you know, because they might not sign up to something like that straight away, but as their mindset changes in going through this process, they might start to get to that. If you've got an opportunity for people to go online and donate to a pot that would enable people who really can't afford it but really want to do it to be supported through that, that might be another thing to do, and it enables people then to pay it forward in a different way or in another way. But you know, I can imagine also with that comes okay, so how are you going to decide somebody should access that pot? And I mean, that would need to come through the conversations you have with people, and on some level I think there just have to be total trust that if you, for instance, or you and Jerry Lee or whoever are administering that pot, that you're going through some kind of diligence with those people, and we trust you to apply it accordingly.
But in a way, it's kind of like the whole 67% and 33% that is paid forward is part of how the strategy is. So paying it forward is completely what this whole project is about. That
absolutely. I'm just saying this is a more obvious way to enable people to do that at some point. That is, you know, because what that means is that you get people who perhaps really can't afford it but genuinely want to do it, and if we've created that pot, then the money, if you like, is coming out of that pot into the whole system for that person, so they are effectively then making a payment that keeps the whole thing going.
Which is a great option, definitely. Absolutely. So that's brilliant, Catherine, for that clarity, because I think it's important for people to see the transparency of what we're doing and the lengths we're going to in order to be able to do that. That's what I want people to see, because this isn't a strategy that's out there. I know it isn't, because I've been around for a lot of different, so much research, and hopefully now there's more people that are coming. This, I mean, pay it forward's massive now, but this has been going for 20 years. This isn't a fad. This isn't just jumping on the latest bandwagon, but these phrases are being used are phrases that I've been using for a long time. So now people are catching up. I don't know the authenticity of it. That's all I know. It's not just, it isn't just a fad. It is real deal, you know. It's just being able to make sure that every step of the way there's some reality check, and that's what we're doing with this. Really, we're in that check-in. So thank you for that discussion. It's important to have it. So I'll put the other thing on there with regards to the camera. I just don't want to block you all out when I put the icon on. I shall remember to put the 2-minute reflection on there as well. And so the do stage is what happens after life, after telling my story, you know. It's that author and co-creator. This is what we're doing. We're kind of, like we mentioned during the week, this whole thing of learning how to do is handhold seedlings. We're attending sessions, we're doing video mapping the journey, which is our 2 minutes. We're doing learning Zoom and Canva, and we're reaching out how to reach 10 and teaching 10. That's kind of like a very, that's a terminology that is used in marketing, but that's what we're doing, reaching 10, teaching 10, and helping people to discover the passion. Because I think what I'm realizing, having reached out to the community, part of the community that we've got at the moment, or almost 60 people in 6 months. It's like, I suppose, 10 people a month on average. So there you go, the reach 10, each 10. It's the people that help to bring authentic leadership. Each person has helped me to step up into leadership. But it's the same for you. Those handful of testimonies are going to help you step up into leadership. What that means is that there's nothing to fear in being out there doing your marketing, being yourself, moving with the times, because the people that you engage are going to help you shine your best you. They're going to be testing your abilities to engage them. The amount of things that this is nothing what's been wrote on the screen. This is nothing what you're going to get from leading this project. I think for myself, having put the project together, put the book together, and tested it out in different communities by sharing it with people and having people engaged, doing it online is definitely much quicker. The skills are the same, if not more intense, because you're trying to feel people. When you're in a room with somebody, you can see somebody. When you're not in a room with somebody, it's like, what do you use? It's like you're still using those senses. Are they accurate? So you're really honing in your compass. Like, right, okay, how am I reading somebody? When somebody goes silent, how do I know when to approach somebody? How do I know when to follow somebody up? So all those things are actually more heightened than having somebody in the room. Just organising a training session and saying, hi, right, here we are. We meet on a Tuesday, just like colleges, we meet on a Tuesday for the next 6 months. That's how ideally it would happen. It isn't like that. It's very, very different. But at the same time, it is learning to trust what you're feeling when you're connecting with people. Does that make sense to people? Yeah. Because it's very different. It's very, very different. It's brilliant. Oh, sorry, I'm flashing through the slides. It's brilliant, but it is very different. I actually feel it's the whole part of this conversation that we were having was care without compromising, caring without compromising. And I've never experienced it to this level. I'm experiencing it right now. The compromise is not the same, even though there is a feeling sometimes of it's not the same. I don't know if that's because it's the energy. I don't know. There's something different about this. It's just much better. It's much better than being in the same room with somebody or with people. The energies, I think, are a bit more mixed. I think the energies are more contained. And I think it's the energies that actually can deplete you. That's what it is. It's the energies of another can be quite depleting when you're in the space. Whereas when you're not in the space, it's much more contained. That's what it feels like. And I don't know if that's just a seed of thought really there. You can be, even though the energy here is intensified in the community when we're all talking on the same page and stuff, it's different. It's really different. And I don't know how to explain it any more than that, really. It is better. And so this handful of people who have had direct experience of your engaging communication skills, they'll have accepted your offer of being included as a gift into this process, they will have received the extension of your hand of kindness. You will have seen the seed of potential in another. So you would have seen, oh, actually, that's what I noticed yesterday. There was a lady who was on, and I noticed her engagement. It was really obvious about her abilities as a leader. I don't know this lady, but I don't know if anybody saw that yesterday, but there was one particular lady who was really, you could see that she was just engaged. It was like she was ready. I think that's our observation when we're observing people. Each and every single one of us who are engaging and interacting with people everyday life, we're seeing these people are coming to us. Whether or not we can see them, it's a feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, there's just something, there's some qualities about people that are just like they're ready. And also there's some people that don't look ready. I mean, it's offering discernment. Because some people, and I don't know if you can hear this, there's two lots of people in many ways. Some that are really like, I'm going for it. They just got it about them. And there's those others that are kind of like, oh, life's just not treated them right. It's just not fair. And I'm not saying that we don't include those people. I think it's a case of having a conversation with those people to see whether or not they've got it in them to become that person who's like, oh my gosh, I'm going out there and doing it. Because there are some people who can be like that, but some people actually want to be held in that space. We can't hold people in that space. People can't come into this space whose energy not prepared to shift. Does that make sense? People understanding what I'm saying there? Anybody want to jump out and just explain it from?
Yeah, there's I think, I don't know which conversation this involved about empowering someone and caring for someone, and I don't think we covered that last night, but it might have been the mastery class on Monday.
Yeah.
So caring is about this dependence, whereas empowering is about giving that other person the tools and the skills so that they can carry their own seed of greatness. So there's less energy on you.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole community is about, is empowering the next person.
And it's true, actually, because I think that was the thing. I remember there was one lesson that I learned about helping and empowering. There was a friend of mine that was online, and when I was going through divorce, somebody said, go online and meet people, build your confidence up. Which I thought, really? And I've not been online. It was like year 2000. I just got off this computer and just thought, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I remember I was on this chat thing that my friend had put me on, and this man had wrote a message. He wanted to speak to me, but I could really feel his energy. And normally I wouldn't be so direct, but I could really feel this pool of water I could have easily just jumped into, because it's like I could feel he was going to commit suicide. I could really feel it from him. I nearly dived in there. I was talking to somebody else. I can't remember, I was doing something else. So I didn't really have much time, so I was quite impatient and sharp with him. It was the best conversation we ever had, because it saved him from committing suicide. But it also, and now he's married and children, and it's fantastic. I really felt that sometimes what happens, what I tend to do, and I don't know if people like me, I used to jump in that water to save somebody. You know, if somebody's panicking, they would take you down out of panic if they can't swim. That's the analogy that I kind of like use, that in that moment I didn't do him any, I wouldn't have been doing him a service by saying, oh, what's the matter, that kind of thing that sometimes we can do when we care too much. It was kind of like, right, what's going on? You know, it's like the hand was there. What's going on? Well, why are you doing that? And I was just direct with him and honest with him. And he felt it. He actually helped so much to bring this vision about. It was incredible. And we formed a really, really strong connection just by being direct and truthful. So it pays off to not be, I think sometimes when you have the label of being a carer, people assume that care is to be gentle and kind of like always be listening and to really just to be a shoulder to cry on. No, it's not. It's like we have to redefine. Sometimes it is having that tough love to be able to say to somebody, that's just not the way that it is. And that's what we're doing in this space. We're hand-holding people, and we're listening to people's stories. In a way, we're not judging people, but at the same time, we're allowing people to see where their own boundaries maybe have been encroached by other people. People are setting boundaries more because they're actually healing themselves. They've actually got the time to heal themselves. Because when do people actually have the time to do this work? Don't often. Especially, I mean, if you've got children and you're busy all the time, maybe when you get to retirement age, you start looking at this stuff. And really, we should be teaching it from much younger. It's just, I think the young people are going to be, the young people not think they are teaching us. They won't put up with a lot of this. They just wouldn't do it. So it's kind of like, it's quite interesting, really. So that's the intention, is that you've seen the seed of potential in another. You've shined your best you to that person. You've felt how this process has empowered you, and you naturally want to share it with other people. You're attracting light. You attracted light, shining people. There's lots of light, shining people out there. There's a lot of dark people out there as well, in terms of carrying a lot of baggage. And I'm hoping with the new energies that are coming in, that's just going to blast a lot of people. And I know that I've met quite a few people that aren't carrying light, and I think the time's coming to an end. They've got to switch and start raising the vibrations. But again, medication can keep people in that density, so that's just jokingly apart. But there's a lot of density can take place in people's lives, and what we're trying to do is to lift that. But people have to want to work with us to be able to do it. So this is probably just an analysis of kind of people. We do work with everybody, and I know for myself that that's happened over the years. I think the internet makes it a lot easier not to feel drawn in, and the way that the process is helps people to take responsibility for writing their story and then coming along and sharing it. And they get blasted. People do get blasted, because we have lots of conversations with people that have got a lot of, like I said, it's energies around them, but they do shift when they're in this space. Without a doubt, they shift. So that you become part as well of this truth community, the importance of being truthful. And it's interesting because I think I've had some right from the first start of the Pioneers group, those Thursday evening group. There's an interesting bunch of people, really, because they were just the neat students that just turned up and did it neatly in a box. And when we got towards the end of the chapters, then they were a bit more challenging. The chapters at the end are a bit more challenging. And so that was quite interesting, the conversations, because I think when we get on to the next bit, I will share with you it's what I've learned really from that group. So you can see there that a mentor in this process of the mentor is somebody, when you bring the handful of 10 people, you need a mentor to help you to nurture those 10 people. And I know there's only 8 there just before somebody says that little gathering, but I didn't want to be putting another 2 in there. But when you bring the people to be enrolled, then the mentor helps to take your hand and shadows you through that process, so that you don't feel like you're on your own mentoring people. There's a few skills. I mean, Beverly, how have you found that process? Because obviously you've gone through this. You have gone through this. Would you say that this is more or less an accurate description of what you've been doing?
Yeah, I think in possibly technology skills need to be added, just because for the pure technical side of holding a space on Zoom. Oh yeah, that, but on the, I guess it was more, learn how to, that's in the do, is it? Yeah.
That's in the do, yeah. And I was going to put technical, but do you know what? I thought to myself, what's technical about pressing a button on Zoom, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I might ask Paul that one, but do you know what I mean? It's like, what is technical about pressing a button?
I keep telling him he needs to be on his desktop, not on his iPad. That's all.
Yeah, it makes it different. He's obviously going for the hard route. It's like, he's going to conquer the iPad. The iPad's a hard one, isn't it, to do it on there? So, Paul, you're saying you've got a desktop that you don't use? Well, maybe not you're saying
Yeah,
it.
I am actually. I've got it there actually, but I haven't got Zoom loaded onto it or anything yet. So.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a laptop. Yeah, it's not a laptop, not a desktop as such. So
Right,
it's,
well,
it's a laptop, yeah, but it's enabled that way, which isn't through the eye technology, if you like.
right. So
yeah.
what stops you from using that then?
Oh, well, because generally speaking, I use this little iPad on the move, really. So,
Right.
and I've just got used to using it on the move, really. And that one, yeah, I need to keep updating my protection on it and that, and I keep forgetting to do it and things like that.
I think that would definitely be helpful to you, because
yeah,
I think
well, I'll do it. It's okay, I will. I mean, Jerry does sort of mention things like this to me, and I do take it on board. Just doesn't always happen immediately. That's all. But yeah, it does. Yeah, I do like the hard route. I do like the hard route, as you probably realise. But
yeah, realise that.
It will get better. Yeah, I assure you.
And I need to thank you as well for your message, just to throw in some birthday thank yous as we're going along, for your video.
All right. Yeah, I realised that again, you see, was me not utilising my technology quite correctly. I did it in landscape as opposed to in portrait, if you like, because I've got a keyboard attached to it. So I was holding it with a keyboard. And I posted it. I was going to do it again, but I thought, well, the moment's gone. I've done it now.
Absolutely. No, I was watching it live in there. I was like, oh, and I even nearly messaged Geraldine to say, "Tell Paul to take." And I just imagined Geraldine running out in the garden. Paul!
No, I just took a walk in the park, if you like. Actually, I had one which I'd done earlier, but then I didn't want to. I wanted to do another one because there was vehicles on and all sorts of things. I thought, it's crappy that. But anyway, there you go.
Bless
For you, Anthea. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
And as I said, the water is flowing.
Yeah.
As is my energy now. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you. So Catherine's saying it's fine to use it's fine on the iPad to use Zoom, and I suppose it's different strokes with different folks. And I think the thing is, when we get to the stage of actually holding sessions, because I am mindful, as people do increase, and I will be saying to people the opportunities to come and shadow people whilst we're waiting for the 10 people to come along. Or it's going to be a gradual, I think. I don't think it's going to be, well, let's just hope it's whatever it's going to be. But to be able to then hold sessions, to be able to put Zoom meetings up on Facebook, that's the technical side that Kelly's referring to, really, is being able to do a Canva, put it up on Facebook in terms of the Real Story Pioneers, and then being able to put the Zoom meeting up there and things. So those things are things to learn. But what I'm saying to anybody right now is that the calendar that's up there, if people can think, do you know what, I'm available at that time, I will run that session, not run the session, but practice some of this stuff. The door is open for you to be able to do that. You know, so if it's like, right, actually, I'll commit to a Tuesday, I'll do Tuesday afternoon. So Catherine's just saying yes, please, to shadowing. Because I think at the moment we're running sessions, and I'm running sessions, obviously. It would be nice to start doing these sessions, because there are people coming in, because I'm constantly doing this, constantly bringing people in. So it's kind of, I think it's a very difficult thing when it comes to the do session. It's like, how do you commit to, I'm doing a do session? If you haven't got people, but you want to do it, it's a hard one. It's not, this has been, Geraldine was different, because Geraldine was like, right, Anthony, I've got 10 people on here. Show me, mentor me. People aren't doing that. You know, so it's kind of like, I'm thinking, okay, I want people to be like Geraldine, because that's so much easier, but not everybody's doing that. It's like, and some people say, yeah, I'll do it, but then they're not sure. So it's that intention. If we're putting out there that heart intention of, we want people who, it's not even we want people, you know, it's seeing people who are shining. I suppose it depends. With social media, it's like, how do we do that on social media? We do it through different groups. We actually start having, just engaging, even if it's half an hour a day, looking for people who are looking for us, because there are people looking for us. It's just that, are we looking for them? You know, maybe that's the question. So that's where obviously we're doing the mastery classes as well around health, balance and financial literacy. We're doing those on a Monday mainly, of the different mastery classes, which I mean, again, anybody with regards to Leanie, what's your experience of the master classes what do you enjoy about the mastery class?
Oh, a lot, actually. It is a lot of new information, but what I experienced in the master class and the do session is that it is so intense, and when I get to this headspace and had to get my head around so many things, it takes a lot of energy. So
and is that worth it, or is it not? What's the
it is worth it a lot. And also these slides you were explaining yesterday, I hadn't actually I didn't go through all these, no, not the last ones, but I think it's very important to go through these to have an understanding about what we are doing. And I could go through them 5-6 times actually, because I discovered a lot of new things yesterday. My thoughts are different than they were in the beginning. And
interesting. And can you define what is the difference?
Well, it's just some of the phrases, some of the words I suddenly understand in another way. Even the headline, care without compromise. When I was thinking about it, and then I took away the out. So I said care with compromise. And then suddenly I understood it a lot better, because I think, oh yeah, that's what I've been doing all my life. Care with compromise.
Yeah.
And that's what that's the reason why I was depressed, went down with stress and all this, hit the rock bottom. And that's what I think a lot of people, and it's only by going through these slides, and I can't work through all these things just in one session and understand everything. I have to say one little thing at a time, and then resonate with different things in my life.
Yeah.
And listen to others too. So actually the same teachings we can go through many times and discover new things every time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I appreciate that. You see, the thing is, it's when I get feedback from people, this is why I always ask people, what do they think? Because I know that I've been with this for a long time, but I also know that it's like, I know over the years it's gathered more because of trying to explain it to people. It started off really simple. It's in the explaining that it kind of like became a bit more complex. Whereas now that it's in real action of what we did, which was invite 10 people to tell the story, all this stuff in between is me trying to break down, right, what similarities are there in a team of people doing the same thing. So it's kind of like these slides I don't see them changing much because we've done them a few times now, and now it's like, actually, this is the format of extended part of the process, which is the facilitator. It's great that we go over and over and over and over again, because it's the same thing over and over and over again.
It is, and sometimes you don't need to go through that many slides, because you can have a long conversation about just a few slides.
Yeah.
Because there's so many layers in them.
Yeah, definitely. There is. And I mean, feels like only the surface, but I'm glad. Thank you for that feedback. That's really, really beyond useful, helpful. It helps all of us, you know. I think
it's a very, very important part of this telling your story. Well, for me, I did it after I had written my story, and I couldn't cope with more.
Absolutely. And the way that you did it as well, Lily, was really good, because you did it within the 4 weeks, within the 4 to 6 weeks. And after, I mean, we first started off with 3 months, and I knew it was too long. It needed to be people that were like, no, I want to do this. So each person who comes along has that potential to write within 24 hours. That's going to be the shortest period where somebody spends 24 hours, which is a day. I know it's not necessarily they would fit in a day, but 24 hours is all the process is, you know. So but yet for somebody to do that, I thought we had it with a lady, but she hasn't finished the rest of she's done the first part. You know, each person who comes along is their own leader, and they will lead in this process of how quickly they want to do this process. So they come in the table, and we've kind of like said, okay, 5 chapters within a week, which is 5 pages, you know. And really, if you keep a journal, that's not too difficult, because it's like you do a journal every night, reflecting your thoughts and getting into that habit. And I think that's really important for people to do that. Do that genuinely, you know. So, oh, bless you. So, I was just saying that. Thank you, Anthony, for spending your special day enriching our lives with your wisdom and knowledge. I'm heading to another interview in a little bit, but we'll listen until I get in the car. Bless you. Thank you so much for your happy birthday and hugs, and to everybody as well. Thank you, Mary, for your kind words. There's no other place, you know, every birthday for the last 10 years, and it's been different the last few years since I gave up the home. I always spend my day celebrating the achievements of what I've done. I say celebrating, putting out the achievements of what I've done every year, because for me, life is a gift of presents, and so this is the present of being able to do this work. And my marker is my birthday, really, or Earth Day. So I'm glad that there's an audience. Normally, there would normally be a party, there would normally be an audience, but for the past couple of years, last year I was in Ireland, celebrating in a Chinese restaurant, actually, with my little friend, and a small group of people that I've met over there. So it feels very different, but I'm so glad that year on, and now I'm doing what I should have been doing right from the start, but here we are. So yes, thank you for that. The mastery classes will still be happening, but we will be breaking down things over and over again and getting some examples. There's all sorts of different things. Again, the beautiful thing is that each person who comes to the mastery classes, each person who goes into this do phase, gives me the agenda, and they'll be doing the same for you. So each person who's doing this process will be learning how to do this for people, because you'll be doing it naturally. You'll be saying things naturally. People are asking the questions. It's like you get the data, if you will, you get the information, and then you come up with a solution. It's just giving you some insight into a little bit beyond maybe what we see. I didn't quite finish this slide off, but to teach is to be, and each one of us are in this space of being a facilitator of change. And facilitators of change, as we know, are the co-creators. So it's the same as this. So you join the team, I'd say the pioneers. Actually, you've not joined the pioneers. You are the pioneers of. You've not joined them. You are the pioneers. And so the only way that I could describe this, I don't know if Geraldine would be able to speak to this, because it's really only Geraldine, I suppose, from being in that space. But what we're doing, not trying to do, what we are doing when we're in this space is we are trying to maintain the stillness in the storm. I know Lena had mentioned today about the ship, and we've often talked about the mothership. And again, if you look at the word leader, we're leading a ship. That's what we're doing. It's a ship of people who are in need of help. They're in need of support. They're in need of balance. You know, it sounds like it might sound dramatic. It's like our human spirit, our humanity spirit is broken, and we are in that process of trying to help people mend. That's what we're doing. And so this is also changed in terms of this group of people now. will be people that actually want to co-create. They'll enroll to do. So the people that have told the story, they're now wanting to be in the do phase of telling the story. So as pioneers, we are trying to weather the storm, because as people come in through the space, there's so much drama that can go on in people's lives whilst they're letting go of that ego. You know, people can panic of like, I can't do this and I can't do that. You have to weather the storm and not react, but to respond. And this is stuff that, as you're doing it, it's when you're doing it that it becomes, wow, I didn't realise that that's what I was doing. It's only when I sat with my piece of paper and pen and I was writing down, right, how can I give as much information about what is going on in this process? So, yeah, weathering the storm might sound a bit, I'm saying it might sound a bit extreme. Sometimes I don't know, generally, would you say it's like weathering a storm sometimes? It might not be, well, no, actually, because you're often calm generally.
I think when the groups get to the maximum, like 10, and okay, when we don't have the format of, okay, this call is just for part 1 and this call is just for part 2, you know, it's contained, those stories are contained. But when you're handling 8 and on your screen, and one's on part 3 and one's on part 1, and you have to juggle between all those stories, and what stories do you miss out, and who needs the most attention, and who hasn't been included, and do I need to include one story to introduce so that chapter is not so heavy? And Anthea's watching, going, ooh, you know, that person could have gone for, and this is afterwards. So there's a lot that goes on within the dynamics of the group, that when you're under training, you're not so much on the ball as Anthea's eyes are, because you're kind of like, it's new, and you're going, okay, and that person, this person. So there's not, in Anthea's eyes, there is a certain, it's like a pack, or the wild geese. The weakest person is always in the front, and they're swapping all the time so that you keep the strength of the flight going. And so it's about this team, and all the time you're checking in, okay, and that person's waning and they need to share the chapter now, and that person's strong, so they need to go first. So in that sense, yes, but it took me a lot of sessions for me to be comfortable in that space.
Yeah, and I think it was difficult because, like you said, when we first did it, I think we've ironed out some of that. We're hoping to have ironed out some of that, but it depends again on the numbers of people. It depends on when people book into the session. So it's like, how do we do it? Do we say, okay, we have a part 1 on that day, part 2 on that day, part 3? It doesn't quite work like that. You know, as much as we want those structures, it meant that generally would have people coming into the sessions who were all over the place, different parts to read. That was a real challenge to manage. Whereas the intention is you would have part 1 readers only, part 2. You'd be taking a group through more structured. I think that's happening a little bit more now.
Yeah, and that's how this is an exact example of how the school is evolving. Like sometimes we'd have a guest, and sometimes we'd had a totally new person who hadn't seen the first introduction. So we'd all go through the introduction, we'd all read our first chapters, and then we'd all jump into our own chapters. So it is this constant evolution, and that's what we need to appreciate. Is what Anthea and I would have experienced under my training is not necessarily going to be how you're going to experience your training. But these are the experiences that we want to impart, because they're important to know how far we've come.
Absolutely, and it's so true, because I think it's so funny. It is so funny because you don't know who's going to come online. As soon as you post that number out on Facebook as well, you don't know where we're giving people that choice. It's easier for us to adapt to the change than it is to say to somebody, no, we're only going to be doing these sessions, these times, you either fit in or you don't. you know, it's kind of like we're learning how to adapt to change in this space. So, you know, we have all sorts of different people just jump in. And it's funny. It's funny. It's funny watching. It's funny watching the facilitators flapping though. That's funny. I was so glad when I jumped on one session with Jeremy, because I was just like, oh my gosh, it was just, it's brilliant though. It's at the time you're just like, oh, but then afterwards you just think, 2 hours later, it's amazing the journey that you've travelled. You can see in the group as well that there's, I think it's different as well, actually, because we've got the advert to start off with. So we start off every session with the advert or the infomercial. That helps us to think the music is more for us than the actual infomercial itself, because it kind of like calms the room down. It kind of like gets people into a different space. That's why we use that at every session, is to use that video, either the Psalms or the cinematic YouTube video. Just put that on to help people to arrive within those first 3 minutes, to make a massive difference to the room. So we're wanting, you know, like some people can come in and start chatting. Hiya, that happened the other week. Hi, how are you? And it's kind of like, it's such an off-putting, you know, it's like walking into class and students just talking and you're thinking, you know, we're just about to start the session. We don't have that filter in this space. The only filter we have is that video. To put that video up and be prepared with that, it means that people are prepared to go within themselves, and you can have that chatter at the end, you know. So that's always an interesting one. So yes, so what we're doing is we're exercising discernment in this space. We're offering that pure heart-based intention, you know, just wanting people just to share their stories. We're just open, excuse me, from the heart, and it comes through. People feel it. People really feel that people are here to listen, and it's powerful. We are to ensure that gift of presence is practiced, and that gift of presence is very much what we've all got. The gift of presence. That's why we're all here breathing. We're offering a gift of presence, and the gift of presence is going to be quite a new phrase, I think, that people are going to be using more often, because that usually happens. I probably picked it up from somewhere, but I'm not sure where. But for me, I see it. I've seen it in the group, that when we are present and really listening and engaging people, it's felt. It's felt, and it's important for us to be present. I know that I've said it before, that my goal for people to have financial freedom is because if you have financial freedom, you are present. You're present in the moment. You're not worrying about. That's why I always thought, how can healers really be doing this work in terms of healing if they're worried about the mortgage being paid? How can they possibly do that? I don't understand how you can be 100% in the space of healing and thinking this client's helping to pay my mortgage. I know it might sound a bit harsh and a bit, but it's true. It's a hard thing to do, that if you're not feeling great, you have to be well to see your client. But what if you're not? If you know that you're relying on putting food on the table? It's wrong what our society has done with regards to this level of care, but we're here to change that around. I know that I'm here as part of a big transformation of that. We all are. We're all here to bring things like healing, which for me is a gift of presence, make it unconditional. It just is there. It's there. And that power of presence heals people. It heals broken hearts. That's what we're offering. Like I said, I don't want it to sound really heavy and preachy, but I know the power of it, and we know the power of it. We felt it. It's so important. It's something that we can all do. You know, most of us don't have time to have quality relationships because we're busy doing. We just don't have time. This is where, for me, offering space and offering time is so precious. And I really thank every one of you for holding space to be able to do that, because this isn't, you know, we're here because we want to be here, because it's something that we feel is right to be here. We're not paid for being here, for those that are watching the video, if we're still recording it. But it is a place to be in a state of centeredness. And I think when when all around is going crazy, to be able to sit in centeredness and to be able to hold the energy, to be able to bring about what we're all wanting, which is peace on earth. You know, it's kind of, if we can not get caught up in what's going on. So if people think that this is, I don't know what people think this is, but for me, this is like a modern day way of being able to heal. and do healing work without the label, you know. So our job is to witness each other's joy and to call it out. And that's the opposite as well. If we don't see somebody being happy, we have to call it out to say, is everything all right? Sometimes people will hide. You'll see that on the next bit of the slide. What we're here to do is practice release. So we're transmuting shadow with love. Even though we're doing shadowing, which is interesting, we're shadowing in terms of facilitating other people. We're actually transmuting shadow. We're playing that hide and seek. We're bringing the shadow out. Stuff that's stopping people from reaching the full potential, from being the true self. We're shining our light by holding space. It's automatic. It's automatic that will release that which no longer serves, is what I often say. It's not serving somebody, that's stunting the growth. Or storytelling process helps to release that, which is fantastic. Release resistance through exploring unsaid thoughts is powerful. It's very, very powerful. Like more than I didn't even realise how powerful it was. But what we're not doing anything special, we're just holding space. Each season storytelling empowers your authentic leadership. Make no mistake about that. They empower us how by with the seedlings questions, every question that somebody asks, every expression of confusion, every question about the story and how to write it. These are all parts of helping us to test us. Isn't ever the word? Is that the word? Test? To help explore our truth. I think children kind of do that as well. But I think children do it. Well, the children do they test our patience in a way, and the seedlings are no different in this writing process, because some people will be like, I don't know what to write in my first chapter, I don't know what it means. In the meantime, busy, also busy doing as you're being. It's like when you ask those questions over and over and over again, it's fantastic, because it's how you respond to each of the questions or statements. You're learning leadership, you're learning how to be authentic, and it's great. It is great. Am I being truthful? Yeah, it is great when you can stand back and think, do you know what, they just don't know. But then you also realise that how ego plays. Ego always wants to make out like it doesn't know, like it's confused, like it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be writing here. It's as though, it's like, hold on a minute, who am I to be telling you how to write your story? You learn how to answer differently. You learn how to, because sometimes, you know, when we're wanting to help somebody, help and empower, we are testing out, are we helping somebody, are we empowering somebody? So if somebody asks a question of, I don't know what I'm doing, you say, oh, I tell you what, you're making them dependent upon you. It's like, oh, hold on a minute, I've got an opportunity to respond differently. So how do I respond? I'm not just reacting, I'm actually going to respond. But you know, like some people will say, I remember my friend actually, when we were celebrating last year, and she used to say to her daughter used to say, I wonder why such a thing. And she used to say, I wonder, you know, and just putting the ownership back on the person. And that's what we're trying to do. But it's a case of, because if you answer the question once, believe you me, you can have to keep on answering it over, as I say there. Acknowledge by witnessing is often enough. And like I said, over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So it's like, that is your test. So if you are somebody who likes to everything sorted, and it's like, yeah, we can get that sorted, let's get it all. I think Jerry Lee will answer this one as well. And everything sorted, it doesn't fully work like that. It's like, it'll be just something. It's like, do you know what, if I have to answer that again, it means that I need to look at it a different way. Because it's down to each person to do however they, I can't remember what it was, Jerry. Can you remember? I think I do remember. Can you remember what I'm talking about? In terms of helping and empowering. Can you give us a good example of that?
I always go back to the first 3 chapters.
Right, yeah.
Because especially including you, which has 2 pages instead of 1, And in the meantime, people just get stumped with this notion of not doing it right. So it was practically the same question in a different face or a different stuckness. And some people would just get so stuck. And I had a storyteller. We had a storyteller part of our group in Australia, and she was really stuck. And she had to have a conversation with me, and that was where I helped her rather than empowered her. And then I learned better ways when she got blocked again. And that was through obviously consulting Anthea, because we need to be directing the seedlings onto the Facebook page so that everyone benefits from that question, because that question is going to get asked over and over and over again. What does it mean doing versus being? I mean, we make assumptions that this is the vocabulary that we use, and therefore people understand what they mean, but they don't understand what that means because they're so caught up in the head, and that's their world. So this is where we're like, okay, so the pattern here is that is the head stuff, that is the world we have come from, and it takes this detox into a space of being in order to write your story and trust that you have done it right, and there is no such thing.
Absolutely. And that was the thing, and that was a beautiful thing, because Geraldine was telling me about this conversation. I was kind of like, I was listening, but there was a part of me that was like, why are we having this conversation, really? What's gone wrong here? Or what could have been different? And then I was just thinking, hold on a minute, gosh, if we had 100 students and we were having this conversation, we wouldn't be able to do that. So it just made me think, this is a community of us. This is questions that are going to be asked over and over again. Put it out there into community, get used to asking, get used to people talking out, look, I've got this problem, I'm not really understanding this. Get people used to being vulnerable, because vulnerability is our strength. I've not even mentioned vulnerability in these slides, but vulnerability is the main thing, because we're not really vulnerable. We're just asking a question. And the difference that made, because that pattern comes back again in a different way, and that's sometimes how ego wants to express itself. So that's why I put that there, that, confusion, questions, those hidden parts, the golden nuggets, they're absolutely golden nuggets. That when somebody asks us the question, know that it's ego that is trying to express itself. And that's fantastic. It's just being able to see it how it is. And so, yeah, absolutely beautifully said, Emily, without a doubt. Absolutely, that was so funny when that happened. It was good though. It was brilliant. It was brilliant, because some people will want to keep on asking questions. Like I said, we have to see that as a pattern, but it's only when you're doing it you see it. It's kind of like, it's when you're doing it you see it. So there's nothing that these slides could be packed out with loads of different information, different examples and things. But it was just trying to give you the essence of it in a fun way, because it's not to overwhelm at all. It's just some reflections of, actually, this is trying to streamline it. Just streamline and just think, well, do you know what? To be so respectful for people, these challenges are necessary to help us shift through our ego. The book process will take you so far. It's the interaction with people when they're doing their story, when they're wanting to do their story, it gives us another level of exercising our patience and keeping within the eye of the storm, because some storms coming. And I think that's the other thing. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. Some big things. So one of the things that people that have had stories hidden, you remember the first part of the poem is, all it takes is for one person to make a stand and to tell it how it is, including the secret. There's some people that have had secrets for years and have never shared it with anybody. And when they come into this space of authenticity, where people have been given to speak the truth, they will speak the truth. And that means holding space. That means tapping into our own layers of healing. When we're doing storytelling, it's not listening, those are hitting parts within us. And it's not necessarily from this lifetime. It's possible, it could be part of our DNA. It could be that we react, our reaction is to cry. We respond to somebody's story or react to somebody's story with tears. And the realization is it's okay, it's all right. You know, there's nothing wrong with tears, because sometimes when somebody's held on to something so long, they sometimes are so numb by it that they don't share tears. You might pick up on that and share your tears on their behalf. You know, that happens as you gathered, it happens all the time with me. Because I feel it. And sometimes, and again, it's really important to know that it's okay just to breathe and say, okay, let's just shift this onto, you know, I mean, we had a session, I know Paul and Jerry Lee will know that session. That session was a session that was so impactful. It was so hard to move out from that space. So hard to move out from that space because there's a lot of rawness there. And you know what? It was all right. It was all right. It was how it was. We don't know what's going to come up in sessions. Basically, we just don't know what's going to come up. We just know that the utmost respect for everybody's story is all that we can hold in that pure heart intention. Whatever is needed will occur. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to try and rescue. It's hard. It's a challenge, but we don't have to try and rescue. I know I have a tendency of that, and to know that that's okay and release it. You know, it's just so much that can be said, and there's so much that we can criticize ourselves. It's kind of recognizing that there are stories that have been untold that need to heal. And sometimes reading them out is only another level. And reading them out again is another level, and it's another level. But it can hit us on different levels, and it's okay. You know, it's kind of like, we're not going to break down. It will pass, we know that, but it's that acknowledging. It was it was a tough session. That it was a beautiful session as well in so many ways because of healing. For me, I tell you what, how it left me. It left me realizing the importance of this work. It left me realizing that sometimes when we're in our pain and we're witnessing pain, we're feeling that we're on our own and we're not sharing that with our closest and our dearest because we're trying to contain it. And what I saw that day was this unfolding of the family and that connection just getting stronger because of that unfoldment of hearing each other around the same issue. It was special to witness that. And I thank both Jerry, Neil and Paul for that unfolding that took place. It was incredible. There was something really incredible about it. It was very raw, but it was like, wow, it was incredible. And I really thank you for that. I don't know if you want to say anything on that in terms of, because it was just incredible.
Can I just say something? That actually, when you recount that, it does actually take me back there to a point whereby I do actually feel it, actually quite strongly now. I know part of the process and part of the healing part of the process to go over that, but I do realise that it is still there. And the thing you said about reading a story, then reading it again and again, I think that's also quite an important part, because I think as you do that, I think you shed other parts of the story, you shed other layers. I think there are layers which you actually go through, which you shear off, and you don't necessarily get rid of them all the time, but it helps to get rid of them. And yeah, I think the session you're referring to, I can still, it impacts me now actually when I think about it. But the thing is, it was very, at the same time, it was really cathartic. And although the people there were, actually directly involved necessarily in the actual story that was being told. They were, because they were there on the day, and the energy within the group was actually immense. I mean, the distances between us all in terms of miles and that was actually nothing. It was as if we're all in the same room, contained, and the energy in that room had to have a release, and it had a release there. And it was really, I mean, after that the session really closed. I mean, we couldn't really go on. It just, we had to go away, reflect, and just gather ourselves again. And yeah, it was amazingly powerful. And what you say about the fact, Anthea, that at that point in particular, and I know there's going to be other occasions, I'm not trying to say that this was the one and only, but there will be occasions going forward whereby that will just reinforce the importance of this actual process. I think that's the thing about it all.
Yeah. No, it was. Amazing. It was. Yeah, it really was. It really was. For me, I think it would be. Yeah, I think that session for me just highlights the importance of space, of holding space, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Just, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think that's why, for me, setting the scene and doing these sessions and over and over and over again is so important for people, for all of us to recognise the importance of these sessions, because it was amazing. It was amazing, and it felt an honour to be witnessing it. It really did. It felt an honour to be holding space to release what was expressed that day. It's incredible. And I do have to thank you as a family. I really do, because I really value your contribution to this process, really and truly. So what we have to realise is the power that offering in this space that we receive with a reflection of noticing. We notice, when we're noticing things, and we can offer that back to somebody, that just noticing that is enough. You know, just acknowledge by witnessing over and over and over again. And then I just started to write there in the eye of the storm, rattling our being, help us to maintain our core. And that core is neutrality. Because when we've got the positive and negative, quite interesting, there's so many different things. Actually, it's empowering that's why I think I hesitated, to empower our core. Neutrality is the difference between positive and negative. It's that middle place. That's what we're trying to do, is bring the two together into a space of neutrality. And that's not always so easy. But if we are able to hold that space and remember that we're diffusing emotion in many ways, we're not being cold, we're just diffusing charge in that story in many ways. That's what we're doing, is just holding that space. So it doesn't matter, there's no reaction. It's kind of like, it's not like I said, it's not being cold. We're offering our hearts and we're offering our love, and where there is, we will lean towards it through tears, but at the same time, because we're just holding the space, we'll be affected, but we're just holding the space, so it means it becomes neutralized. It takes the charge out of it each time. It's still there, like Paul said, it's still there, but it just takes a bit of that rawness out of it, you know. And that's all that we're doing, really. So that's the there would have been lots more other things, but that's the whole authentic leadership unfolding is about creating that space for us just to be, bringing us together into that space of being, and we're removing all those different labels and just allowing people just to identify a place to be just by sharing the story. It's a very simple process, yet you can see the layers to it, eh? It's amazing. And so that's what it's about. It's about a one person's story. What I meant to put up in here with all the different titles that we had, the chapters, we've got about, I can't remember actually, I didn't count, but we've got lots of chapters. We are going to be, we've got 6 months, we've had 6 months, we've got another 6 months to celebrate in terms of another year. But that was my kind of like overview of tonight, which was the gift of presence. You know, that's what we are all about, and each of you are a gift to me in terms of sharing your space with me and going through the process and trusting this process. And thank you, Catherine, for stepping forward with regards to shadowing, because it will be a case of all of us learning that shadowing space. I haven't put up on there about the way that the funds work, because again, I've got a habit of really honestly packing so much into everything. It's just, I just want to get it out there, you know, I just want to get it there so that you can see it. And I just realized it's going to take a lifetime, but it's so that it just makes it more easy. One of the things that I'm going to do is talk about the philosophy of myself, of where all this comes, where it came from to a degree. But we'll leave that for another birthday. I think probably that's in 12 months' time. But I just thank every single one of you for being here tonight and for going through this presentation. And kind of like for the part 2, but it is a 50 years of celebrating, and I just wanted to mark it last night with the project. And so for the next 12 months, I'm not sure what my goal is. It's the next 6 months is certainly to keep on revolutionising the way that we care, but it's, I think what I want now, I'll put it out there, is that there will be the retreats. The retreat is my goal, alongside some transport, as soon as my car has decided not to work anymore. And thank you so much, Catherine, for all your help as well this week, because if it wasn't through Catherine, oh my gosh, yesterday, oh gosh, I don't know if anybody's towed the car. I don't think I ever want to do that again. Oh my gosh, I've never done that, but that is not something I would ever want to do again. So we towed the car yesterday, but I'm realising that it's not very reliable. So that's the goal, to manifest a car, a home, which is going to be the retreat, and the retreat will be a place for facilitators to come for extra lots of healing. Good night, Mary. And doing this work, really, just continuing this work, because each person stepping up into facilitation means that people are wanting to find out more, but also as well heal. So I'm doing some training at the end of this month, hopefully, actually mid-November, that will enhance those levels of healing on a spiritual level. I think that's my goal, really, and that's what the retreat will be. Well, I'll be building a bit of a practice, because my intentions are to generate funds so that we can have a pay forward fund that Catherine talks about. So we've got more people, because there's people that are there that want to be part of the process. We don't want them to be stunted. So there's a lot of behind the scenes works that I'm going to be doing. But I have to thank every one of you for helping to test this out even more, because it's a dream come true. Dream come true. To be able to do this work without becoming ill is, it's fantastic, because it means that we're doing something right. So I thank every one of you, and especially Geraldine for stepping up there. If it wasn't through you, Geraldine, we wouldn't be where we are now. We just wouldn't be where we are now. So that's all part of leadership, that we've all got a role to play, and you've been the midwife to help birth on this level, which has just been fantastic for every single one of us. And that's the beauty, that being able to do that means that we're able to sit here and have cake and candles and and take it to a whole new level. So thank you so much, everybody, for contributing what you're contributing. So anything anybody wants to say, feel free.
You needed a bigger cake. You only had 37 candles on there.
Do you really count those? Get away, Paul. Do you know what? I was told that I look 30 this week. So actually there's 7 too many cakes. 7 candles.
It was just right then.
Just you to sit there and count the candles. Honestly, is he always like this, Geraldine? Poor Geraldine.
Oh, I tell you. Oh, let's leave it for another time.
Yeah, bless you.
I won't share secrets here.
It's really great seeing you both online, actually, because you're never both online at the same time.
I can hear Paul is echoing.
Is he echoing in the other room?
Yeah.
I can hear you too.
I just wanted to say that on Saturday, Neil, myself, and the girls are driving down to York, so I'm going to meet Anthea and La for the very first time next week, and I'm just like, we're going to have to do a live. And Catherine, look, I don't know how close Catherine is, but anyway, we're going down there, and
how exciting!
And we're just going to have lots of birthday hugs.
I'm just round the corner from Anthea and La.
Well, there we go. So,
where are we meeting then?
We haven't planned. We're just gonna drive down on Saturday. I'm gonna ask Anthea to do the Saturday session at 3 p.m. because I'll be en route. So.
Oh, thanks, Joey. No money joking.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's happy birthday. Can you do Saturday? Yeah, no problem. No, that's brilliant. I'm so excited about that. That's just going to be so amazing. It really is. It's just incredible.
It's called a storytelling meetup. That's what SFM call it, isn't it? Meetup?
Meetups, yeah. It's a tell your story meetup. Oh, how amazing. That's what we're having on Saturday.
No, it's called the Black Retreat. Asian Retreat? No. Sorry, I'm getting a bit drunk on tiredness.
Are you sure it wasn't whiskey you're drinking?
Water all the way.
Water is different.
Yeah, it really is different, isn't it? Oh no, but it's been, honestly, it's amazing. I worked it out this week, today, but remember this week, I worked it out today, that in order to be able to, we need 22 facilitators to work 7 hours to bring the school 24/7, I think. 22 facilitators, each doing 7 hours a week, will bring our school open 24/7. Yeah, that's what I worked it out. Yeah, that's what I worked it out. So that would be, how amazing is that? And it's not, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I wrote that. I wrote it, I was like, wow, that's not a lot at all. To think
that 10 hours each.
No, that was just down to 7 hours. I think I managed to work it down.
You need 24 then. You need 24 facilitators doing 7 hours to do 100 to do 24.
That's a very clever one. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I see where you're coming from.
But
on
it's
that
2 hours per session.
Right. How did I work that out?
Well, you just divided 168. I don't know, but if you did 168 is 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, so divided by 2.
Divided by an even number like 8, you'd need 21 facilitators doing 8 hours, which would be 4 sessions.
Well, I put down 77 sessions per week would be the hours. Well, actually, yeah, you know why? Because it's slightly under. Yeah, I've only got 154 hours because I thought we're not going to be doing Sundays, but at the same time, yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, because I wanted to avoid, even though it will be open 24/7, it kind of wouldn't, would it? But it was the flexibility of the Sunday.
24/7, 6 days a week.
Yeah, 24/7, 6 days a week. So yeah, just in case Sundays were going to be an objection for people. So yeah. Sorry?
24/6 it is. It was 144 hours actually.
24/6. So that's what they call it. So I just thought, wow, if we just had 77 classes a week by a handful or a couple of handfuls of facilitators, that would give us the school 24/7. All we need now is people around the world to set up a Tell Your Story group. So we just need all the countries around the world where we need one person. So that's my goal. My goal for the next 12 months, or actually the next 6 months, is to really put that out there in a very clear, succinct way to attract people from around the world. And we're doing it, especially with the social work community. There's people that know people. We just need 1 or 2 people. But it's a strategy that we can all use. So it's not just that this is just going to be one school. We're going to have several schools of the same strategy. We're going to have a school that's going to be open, 24 or 24/6. But there will be some people that are quite happy to work on a Sunday. So we're going to have that around the world. But it involves each pioneer following the same kind of pattern to attract people from around the world. If you're thinking about visionary thinking, then that's what we need to be thinking, be putting out there, to be attracting people that want to help form a school in their country. So that's the That's the goal, and that's the way that we could be thinking. We couldn't just be thinking about the first handful of people to help us with our testimonies to get us through. We should be thinking, hold on a minute, globally, what countries do I want to work in? What countries do I want to empower? What countries, because that's when you empowering a person in that country, that energy is emitting in that country. It's fantastic, you know, that one person sat in the front room or wherever is emitting that energy that is being brought on by us all meeting from around the world. So lighting up the world, and that's what we're wanting to do, is to light the world up. And honestly, this way of being now, and this way of seeing it, is pretty new because I've not planned it out this far, as you probably can tell. But lighting up the world is basically what we're doing.
And how many languages is this going to be?
The what, sorry?
You see how many languages are we going to translate this into?
As many as we possibly can. How many languages are there in the world? I mean,
exactly.
That's the thing, Leni. We've got to work together to get this into the language. And I know that Cassie is going to be putting it in Polish at the moment as we speak.
Yeah. So actually, I thought I would see if we could find a time to talk about that.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have met a lot of people, not a lot, but among most of those people I've talked to want to do this, but they want to do it when it comes in Danish.
Yes, yeah. That's it. It's down to you. This is the leadership.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is, when we're sitting and talking, one of the things that we are going to be doing, and I realised it from last night, is that we're going to be doing some soul alignment sessions. So we are aligning the soul, you know, even though it's whatever labels we want to put on it, but we're aligning the soul when it comes to passion around right, what is it you want to do? You know, we're aligning, okay, let's see how we can do it. And when you've got a team of people sitting and listening, then we do our star planning, and we can easily make it happen. So yeah, let's start that conversation and make it our first star planning session, because I think this is the thing, isn't it interesting? Because when we've had all this focus on getting it up and running, and obviously Jolie's just been a star, absolute star when it's come to Jolie, are you able to do that? Jolie, are you able to say, yeah, I've got it sorted. I'm just like, and it's been amazing at how it's been able to focus on other things. I've just been doing all of it. It's like, actually, this is really interesting because I've got time to think a little bit more about seeing the bigger picture and what we need to put in place. It's brilliant when a lot of us just just take the weight off each other. So all of a sudden it becomes that little bit freer to be able to think, right, okay, we need the alignment sessions, and that's what we're doing. So we're building to the point where everything's more or less in automatic now. It's not quite, we've got a few more things to do, but it's more or less in automatic for us to be able to have that space to do. And he's like, no, it is, isn't it?
Have you been to the back office? I backed up the website the other day. You are slack, girl.
That's your job though, Beverly. It's a teamwork thing.
I don't even have to tell you anymore. It's like, no, it's not going to get backed up. I'll back it up.
It's not going to get backed up. It's never going to get backed up because that's your job. When Jolie's like, we need to back this up every thing, and it's kind of like, Emily, you know how to do that. So it's like, yeah, I just trust that you can do that, because I know that it's just not going to, it's just not going to happen.
Can't you set it up to back up automatically?
No, I'm the automatic button. It's like once a week is generous, you know, we have to keep backing up every time we're updating because, you know, this is what we're relying on.
I mean, you should be able to set it up on a daily.
Oh, is that right, Catherine? I'll have a look. Oh, I'll have a look because I didn't know.
I was just going to say, what do you want to do?
Yeah, it's like.
I mean, I don't know because I'm not fair enough on websites. It's something I want to learn, but
I will have a look. Yeah, thanks.
An inbuilt backup mechanism on most.
It's not that. It's just that we have to back it out of the system, so it's sitting on our computer itself rather than their system. But I will check that.
Yeah, but I'd be very surprised if there weren't some automated something that's
sure.
The host system or a plugin that you could then just set it up on a schedule.
Okay, yeah, I'll double check.
Set it up to do a backup each time you make a change. I mean, you know.
See, the thing, I suppose this is the thing, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's one of those things I always think, do you know what, if it's not backed up and it all crashes, Doesn't matter, it came from us, we can do it again.
By yourself. Thanks, Anthony.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that generally. I've worked now with Thrive Theme so long that the patients that I've learned from Thrive Theme, I'm quite happy to do it all over again.
Let's not use Thrive Theme ever again.
You know what I think it is? It's Chrome.
No, let's not talk about tech.
To use, yeah.
Paul's not interested. Paul's not interested. Laura's not interested.
Yeah, no. So there we go. But technical things are necessary. But we've actually, and that's the thing, we've taken the strain out of it. That's the whole point of the website. You can signpost people to the website. The intention is that we will be getting an affiliate. Kind of, I don't even know if we will be at some point. I think we will be as we grow. It will be nice. But for me, at the facilitation level, you would just be having your own thing. So we are evolving. We are working it out. We are wanting to bring people into the fold, and we've got some competent people to be able to hold sessions. Now, what we want to do is to hold those, shadowing those sessions so that people can get opportunities to practice Zoom and holding sessions, and actually just being mindful of things like holding space and not using the chat facility instead of using the mic to be able to get your message across if something's not quite right that you're noticing. Things like that, just etiquette, actually. Etiquette of how we hold space for people so that we're not jarring with energies. Because if we're sensitive to energies, it can be quite jarring. I'm quite sensitive to energies, which is why I might help with some responses that people have at times. But that's why I'm leading what I'm doing, because it's kind of mindful of all of our energies. And so energy work is a massive part of this. To maintain our energies, we've got to also be mindful of that. And in that being said, I'm going to allow you all to go. I'm going to be quiet unless it's a case of continuing to talk, but without anybody being here. But thank you so much for a great day of memory. Thank you everybody for the videos as well, because that was really special. And I'm hoping that Alice will be able to back them up. Actually, Jolie, I don't know. We can't do that from Facebook. I know Alice can.
Back up the
videos. To have the videos on of all the videos together.
You can save videos to your device.
The album. Couldn't you save it to album?
You put them together from there.
No, it's taken them off to put them on YouTube. We've had this conversation before, but I know Alice can do it with the software package. So I'm just going to ask if she's able to do it. You can't. Facebook doesn't allow you to do it the same, but there is I think what it's called, something buddy or something that you're able to do and back it up. So I'll ask if she's able to do that. So yeah, thank you everybody. I don't know if anybody got anything else to say.
Happy birthday to somebody else.
Oh,
Thank you.
Ladies, oh, it's only an hour away.
Yeah, for me it's just it's less than an hour here.
53 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Lee.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
Bless you. One more sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody.